Hey y'all, welcome to this week's episode of Race Kiki with Jonathan Lee. I'm your host, Jonathan Lee. I hope you're having an amazing day because, again, you deserve it and the people around you deserve to see you at your best. This week's guest is my friend, Nia Jeanty. We met each other year or so ago, maybe 2 years ago. No, actually, it was last year at my boyfriend's 35th birthday party. I threw him a surprise birthday party, and she showed up as one of my boyfriend's guests. And the minute we walked into a room because it was a surprise party. Anyway, Nia and I immediately clicked. She's a wonderful young lady and I wanted to have a conversation with her about what it's like to walk around as a black woman in America. And this conversation is beautiful. It's vulnerable, it's open, it's I'm I'm a better person for having this conversation with such a open, loving, incredible human. So I hope you enjoy. Thank you, like and subscribe. And again, you deserve to be amazing because people deserve to see you at your best. Hi, Nia. How are you?
Hi, Jonathan. I'm good. How are you?
I'm fantastic. I'd like to welcome you to Race Kiki.
Thank you. I'm excited.
I'm actually excited to have you. I've been um, trying to find the right moment to invite a beautiful black woman onto my conversation. Fun fact, I know many, many, many. I'm related to many, many, many. Matter of fact, I learned how to be a man from black women.
The best place to start.
Thank you. Thanks, Mama. Thanks, Jennifer,
Okay.
Jasmine, and Jessica. Those are my sisters.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So, Nia, I have a question.
Yes.
The standard starter question. When did you learn about race?
Oh, you know what? It's it's kind of it's not sad. Well, people seem sad when I tell the story, but it's one of my favorite stories about my childhood.
Okay.
Because I remember exactly when it happened. I was with my grandma, who was a not like a rampaging racist, but it was there in a
Mm-hmm.
real way.
Mm-hmm.
My grandma's French,
Okay.
so the lighter the better.
Mm-hmm. 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 Mm-hmm.
Um, and we were watching Touch by an Angel,
Mm-hmm.
and it was the episode where the angel of death was coming for Billie Holiday.
Okay.
And I had heard, jazz music before, so like I was familiar with her voice, but I hadn't heard all of her music yet because, I was a kid. So, your grandmother and your mother run everything in the house. You have no opinion.
Mm-hmm.
And in the episode, they close it out, of course, with Billie singing Strange Fruit. Now, for anyone who isn't already aware, Strange Fruit is about lynchings and the suffering and degradation and pain of Black people in the South.
Exactly.
And I didn't fully understand what I was listening to, but I could not stop crying.
Mm-hmm.
And my grandma, being who she was, could not explain to me why I couldn't stop crying. She didn't know how to tell me about the pain that I was feeling, and I didn't know why.
Uh-huh.
So that forced me to do my own research. And that moment is what triggered my knowledge about race. Like there were certain things, you walk into a store, you're followed around with your white friends, and there are certain things that you pick up on, but you don't necessarily realize as a child, like why, like the real why behind why certain things are happening.
Mm-hmm.
And that evening, watching Touch by an Angel with my grandma, and I love the poetry of that, which is why I love the story so much, because my racist grandma is the one who accidentally taught me about the pain of being
race.
Black.
How old were you?
Oh man, I was still in grade school. I don't even remember the exact age.
Wow.
It was a while ago. Many,
Wow.
many years. But I went to a Catholic school.
Mm-hmm.
So, race didn't exist until February. And yeah.
And then they come digging out the wonderful work of the top four. You know, the big four.
Yes. Yes. We had Langston Hughes in English class and
Oh.
social studies. We had we had Miss Harriet, of course, and Dr. King. And they had to throw Malcolm in there real quick for like 10 seconds because they spoke about Dr. King. They glanced right over him.
Real quick.
Frederick Douglass. You had the people who have pictures. we covered all the pictures. And even in English, when we did Langston Hughes, it was very, very brief. We talked about the Harlem Renaissance, but like that was it. So there wasn't an in-depth, we didn't learn anything about Nikki Giovanni. Like they didn't care. Maya Angelou, like they threw Maya in there. Like they just kind of like tossed her. Like I know why the cage bird sings and then we're done. I'll see you next year. And then that was kind of it. So, they hit their top 10s in each area in art, they kind of threw people in there. But then that was it. Because it was just February. That's the only time it mattered. I went to a Catholic school on the Upper East Side of New York. So, I was one of a few sprinkles.
One of a few sprinkles.
And, and unfortunately, because of how I grew up, most of my fellow sprinkles didn't really like me. So I couldn't relate to them. So I, not that I got stuck because I did learn some things from them, but I got stuck with the white girls. And then it was always, teach us how to dance. And do you know how to braid hair? And, oh, what are they saying in the beginning of The Lion King? Like, yes, somebody, one of my girls asked me, do you know what they're saying in the beginning of The Lion King? And because I'm not by nature, I'm not hostile, but I've learned how to control my hostility. So as opposed to most other people of color who would have snapped their necks for that. I am not African, so I don't understand what they're saying, but I'm sure we can look it up somewhere. We can figure it out together.
That was a much more kind avenue than I took.
Because I didn't know what else to say in these.
Yeah, you were young. You were a child. Yeah.
I mean, now it'd be a different story. It's like, I'm sorry. What?
Girl. Yeah.
And then you got to walk away so somebody doesn't get hit.
I have never hit. I have made people cry though.
I'm sure you have.
It's just words. Words are very, very, very powerful. You can call the cops on me for what? Making you cry?
Exactly.
How did he make you cry? Well, he insulted my shoes and my intelligence. Both of those things are controllable. I didn't say anything about your dirty ass whatever, but I only talk about the things that you can control.
Right. Read a book, go shopping.
Those are easy things. Easy. And here you are wrinkling your neck talking about, I'm going to steal your purse. Girl, calm down. I don't want that Kmart purse. Calm down.
And then there's that. Like I noticed that a lot on the train. Because, being a city kid, I had to learn how to ride the train early. City kid, single mom. I was out as soon as she was even this comfortable.
Right.
And when I would sit next to older white women and they would clutch their purses, in my sweet little innocent head, I'm just like, oh, she's trying to make room for me. That's nice.
Yeah. That's so nice of her.
And the older I got, the more I learned. And I'm like, these really? Like, really, bitch? I have a 50-pound backpack and a coat that's bigger than I am. And you think I got time to try to rob you? You ignorant. You know what? I'm leaving.
You know what?
Yes. I had so many moments like that, after my full introduction to race where I just wanted to scream because I didn't get it.
And to compound the beautiful fact that you're a stunning lady. on top of all of that. So I'm curious because I know the complications of walking around looking like this. It's a I've managed to use my voice and my style as armor.
Yes.
It is my protection. So when people come up and they challenge me, how dare you? I carry myself in such a way that how dare you?
You do, and I love that.
How very goddamn dare you? So how is it with you? Tell me what it's like for you walking around as a beautiful Black woman.
It took me years to actually feel beautiful as a Black woman. It's actually still something I'm working on. It's something I still struggle with. And walking around for a lot because of various mental and emotional issues that I had when I was younger.
Mm-hmm.
Walking around while Black, once I realized what that meant, became just that much harder because I felt pressure because I was always a little different. I wasn't like the rest of the Black girls that I knew. You know, when they were listening to hip hop, I was listening to Barbra Streisand. So, you know, when they were talking about Mace, I was talking about the soundtrack to Evita. We were always very different. And, you know, I mean, for the most part, hip hop wasn't even allowed in my house. So when I got it, it was through friends or like my counselors at summer camp. And it's not something I was able to necessarily look into. So all of those things I feel like they sort of held me back.
So did you feel like an outsider in your own race?
Oh, 100%.
Me too. I felt that way. I felt that way a lot.
Yeah. And then I realized as, you know, I got older, that imposter syndrome is a thing. I was just like, my childhood feelings had a name.
It has a name. I get it.
It's nice when things have a name, right? But yeah, and that's how I felt. And thankfully, my sister-in-law, because I'm an only child, but I have many adopted siblings who I love so much. And my sister-in-law has been instrumental in me finding and appreciating and loving my Blackness. Everything from my hair to sometimes not showing my hair and putting on a wig if I feel like it. And like, that's okay. It's not a shame thing. It's just that I have the right to be whoever the fuck I want to be that day. And
every day
who I want to be that day has Mongolian hair, then that's who she is.
That's who she is. Her name is Rebecca. And how dare you?
That's right. Absolutely. Absolutely. And I had to learn to be okay with that, because growing up there was a stigma with Black girls having extensions in their hair, and it meant that you were ghetto or hood, and especially in my house, you didn't do that because you're not one of them. Right. You're not going to be like those people. Right. So you can't. And, you know, I had like really nice long hair. So like I didn't need it anyway. But I was like, but what if I want my hair to be purple? Could I get a purple wig? Like, you know, I was a free spirit. I wanted to have all the colors. We don't do that. Your hair is beautiful. We don't need to do that. You're not like them. Mind you, my hair was beautiful by their standard because it was relaxed every 6 months, like clockwork.
Like clockwork. How dare you have a nappy kitchen?
I wasn't allowed. Did you sweat today? What is that curl?
Did you run? What is wrong with you?
But
playing the sprinklers. Where's the hot comb? Yeah, I get you.
Oh, the hot comb. R.I.P. to my scalp. But those were things, and these were things that I was sort of inundated with, where you're not one of those people, so you're not going to be like them. So there was so much about myself that I just kind of learned to hate.
Anti-Blackness built into you.
And I didn't realize it. And especially considering most of the Black girls didn't like me anyway. It's not like we were friends, so I didn't have a community to tell me, well, that's okay that they feel that way, but they're wrong.
Right.
You know, your curls are beautiful. Embrace your curls. Yes, having wavy hair is fine, but that's not what your hair does naturally. So have your curls. My sister-in-law, she gave me my very first weave.
Okay.
which I was so excited about. I could have just jumped off the walls. She my very first weave. I was so hyped. And she took me to Curl Fest. She introduced me to so many products that are actually made for us by us. Like and so much of my Black journey and finding the beauty has started with my hair. My hair's always been a problem. I even had one of the girls in my class even cut my hair when I was in school.
She cut your hair?
She came behind me during an art project, said, "Hey, Nia, I cut your hair," started laughing and walked away.
Little white girl.
No.
Okay. Okay.
Oh, I
Now
wish sometimes.
she was a sister.
She was. She was one of the girls who didn't like me. So
that's so sad.
And then that didn't help, all of the anti-Blackness I'm getting at home. So I didn't really know where I belonged. And the people that embraced me were Latinos. So that became a huge community for me forever. Rock music. In rock music, like nobody cared what you looked like. You weren't a color. It was, do you like rock? Awesome.
Who's your band?
You headbang? Cool. You like mosh pits? We're friends. Like it didn't matter. It's not a community where that made a difference. So I clung to wherever I knew that I would be accepted with, little to no question. And unfortunately, it just wasn't my actual community.
In those communities where you were the sprinkle, how were you treated? Musically, because the arts in general are huge for me. So yeah,
music for me is its own community. So musically, when I was hanging out with people into, rock music and stuff, they were surprised because I generally don't look like the kind of person who's into rock, whether it be my complexion or my clothes. You see little sprinkles of metal on me, but you don't know if I know why I'm wearing it.
Right. I get it.
So it was usually shock. And then when people would ask me questions and I gave the correct answer, they're just like, "Oh, okay.
Okay.
And then it was fine. And then it was fine. I had to pass one test by fire, and then I was good. Latinos, on the other hand, took me in right away. Like there was no hesitation. There was no, "Oh, but she's from here and her people are this." Like nobody cared. And then when they found out that my grandmother lived in Haiti, they're like, half the Dominicans I knew, they were like, "Oh, well, she's practically our cousin. It's fine." And just come on. Like there was no, like I didn't even have to prove anything. The music I listened to, I didn't have to justify it. The clothes I wore, I didn't have to justify it, because as far as they was concerned, they adopted me and I'm a little different. It's okay. Like that was their approach to everything. So, I had people trying to teach me Spanish. The second they realized I love to dance, second you tell a Latino you like to dance,
it's over.
They'll never leave your side. So I learned as much Latin dance as I could from whoever I could. And they enjoyed teaching me. They enjoyed the fact that I loved their culture so much. So I wanted to learn. It was so seamless. It was so seamless and so peaceful. It was nothing like what I got from my own. So that's kind of where I stuck, and until my sister-in-law came in the picture, my pool of Black friends was like 3 people. Like actual friends who I trusted and wanted to talk to and thought I could talk to. It was maybe like 3 people, and that's probably spanning 10 years. It's not even 3 people at the same time.
I could probably say that's wickedly similar for me, and it's the majority of people that I consider friends. Out of all of them, maybe 3 of them are Black. And it's it was always because I, much like you, was never I was never embraced, especially by Black gays. Black gays could not stand me.
I get that a lot too, and I don't know why.
And when I was younger, black gays couldn't stand me. Black straight men and I have had a contentious relationship most of my life.
Of course.
Um, love black women always and forever, but always and forever. I live and breathe. I die. All of my decisions, as I told you earlier, are run through black women.
Which is amazing. I think that's beautiful.
Yeah, it's like if I truly believe that if a black woman can manage to raise children in a world where she makes 61 cents to a dollar, 61 cents to a white man's dollar, and manage to balance a budget, raise some children, send them out into the world and be successful, why should I not go to that particular black woman for advice?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It just doesn't make sense not to.
It doesn't make any sense not to. So, like, listen, these are the choices I have in front of me. What does the council think?
And I have that now. Like, I actually have a council of black girls that I can go to and, like, judgment free, tell them things and ask them questions. And they don't make fun of me for the fact that these are not things that I don't already know. You know, I kind of felt like a toddler walking into the black community, so heavy because I didn't have that. It wasn't a thing, you know, and black music wasn't really a thing in my house either.
Now,
you know,
were
we
you
had
the
Jacksons. That was it.
You mentioned that you have a Haitian grandmother and a French grandmother.
They are the same person. My grams was born in, well, she was born in the French Caribbean. We're sort of fuzzy on exactly which country. We know that the family came from Guadeloupe and Martinique.
Okay.
So as far as we know, she was born in Martinique, and the family moved, you know, upon the colonization of the Caribbean, the family moved into Haiti.
Okay.
So, you know, she was an aristocrat, just fancy, and she had nice things. And then she came to Brooklyn and she's barely middle class. So she had no idea what to do.
Okay.
You know, I mean, coming from a place where you have servants and a pool and, you know, people to lay out pretty dresses for you, to just barely being lower middle class in an environment like Brooklyn in the 60s.
Wow.
Like that's difficult. You know,
yeah, that is hard.
She went through a lot. So I always understood, you know, why she sort of felt the way she felt. I mean, Lord knows what she experienced, you know, with the black community when she came here. But it just went to such an ugly place. And, you know, my my grams was very much the person who would say, "Oh, you're so pretty for a black girl." She was
know that one.
She was that human. And she would mean it sincerely that you're gorgeous, but you're gorgeous considering your complexion.
Considering, you know.
Right. And you know, and that became an issue. And because black people tend to be on the thicker side, she was always super hyper focused on my weight. So then that became an issue for me because I didn't want to be too thick, you know, not realizing, because, you know, my dad wasn't around. So I didn't realize that this is what my body does. Like I can only minimize this, but so much.
Right. You're like, these are bones.
Right. Like I'm down to my bones, and yes, I'm still thick. That's the brown part. The people you don't want me to talk to, it's them. So I can't fix this.
Sorry, girl.
Yeah, just, you know, I could wear bigger clothes so I look small. Like, I don't know what you want me to do. Which I ended up doing. I got full into the whole baggy pants thing to like hide my butt. And then when my boobs came in, you know, I was like wearing like tank tops, like the little midriff tank tops, so like to show the belly, so the belly distracts from the boobs. And then I had like an oversized shirt over that. I went deep into that fashion hole because I was like, I'm gonna hide everything.
Yeah. You don't see me. You don't stop it. Don't pay attention to me. I'm trying to disappear in plain sight. Yeah.
Pay more attention to the girl behind the flannel.
Yes. Paying no attention to this girl who has no idea where she fits in because no one tells her where she goes.
Right. And I was told basically that I didn't fit anywhere.
Yeah.
Because I was never feminine enough to fit in with the girls. But because I'm so female, I wasn't supposed to fit in with the boys. And, you know, being a person of color, but I'm not supposed to be like them. I'm not supposed to be one of those people. So I couldn't fit in with my own community. And white people, I'm clearly a Black woman. So, shot that horse in the face. So Latinos is kind of the only place where it didn't make a difference.
They're like, oh, come on over, girl.
Because they already know when you're brown, you come in all kinds of shapes, all kinds of shapes and shades. So it didn't matter. And then I got so immersed in their culture, they thought it was cute. So that was kind of like my safe space.
I got you.
But I got so happy when I finally felt comfortable. Well, sort of comfortable. I'm still struggling. But when I finally felt comfortable in the Black community and I felt like I had support, that like it changed everything. It changed my whole life. It's been great.
What do you mean you're still struggling with your Black identity?
Yeah. Like I still have some of these things where I'm sort of not afraid, but I'm a little more hesitant to express an interest in certain things openly around Black people because, I'm constantly, even by white people, I'm constantly accused of doing white people shit.
Oh yeah.
And it's just, and there's like, you're too dark for that. You're too dark for that behavior. That's light skin shit. So I'm like, why can't I just like something? Like, why? Leave me alone.
You're like, where is the manual? Is there a manual? Did you get a manual?
I didn't get the Black Girl Handbook. Nobody emailed me.
You didn't get that?
In the mail. Did someone steal it? Like, I don't understand.
I think it may have come by FedEx, and you know how that goes.
That's why. It's in Cleveland somewhere.
Oh no, DHL. Is that still a thing?
Unfortunately, yes.
Oh.
It shouldn't be. But yeah, it is.
Well, I was when I went through this whole figuring out my relationship with my Blackness. Little backstory. When I got in my 20s, I got into a car accident, lost my memory, woke up surrounded by white people, and I didn't look in a mirror for like 6 weeks, so I had no idea what this was all about. Looked in the mirror, I was like, oh, look, she's Black. How confusing. And so boyfriend's white, doctor's white, nurses are white, friends are white, everybody around me is white. And I'm like, okay. So then break up with that particular boyfriend, start hanging out, we'll call it, with another person who had deep-seated anti-Blackness.
Okay.
And started feeding anti-Blackness into me. So when I finally removed myself from that situation, I had all of this toxic energy, all of these toxic ideas, all these toxic plants growing in my head about what it is to be Black. And I had to do a lot of work on myself to get all that shit out.
Yes.
I had to do a lot of work. And then there were times when I'm laying in bed and I'm like writing and I'm just crying my eyes out. Like, I cannot believe you allowed yourself to be treated this way.
Yes.
Because you felt like you weren't important. You felt like you believed all this shit from Jim Crow, from slavery, from all of this anti-Blackness that's been chalked, like force-fed down our throats since we were born. I don't care where we are. We could be in the most wonderful, beautiful, loving Black bubble. But every time we step out of that loving, beautiful Black bubble, we are reinforced with this. We are inundated with this negative image of who we are supposed to be.
Right.
Who you think we are based on what the news, your racist Nana stories about something when she was a child from 1920. Mm-hmm. We know what the hell happened in 1920. We don't need racist Nana's opinions. We don't. Nana, sit down. I love you, but girl, hush. You hear yourself. Stop it. And so
we're like, all this shit is just hitting us, and we're walking through the world, and we still have to stand here strong and powerful and beautiful. But then when I figured out all the shit around who I wanted to be, and I was like, everybody has an idea of the kind of black man they think I should be, but all of that is no business of mine. That has nothing to do with me.
Yeah.
The only person that I'm responsible for is me. And the only person I'm responsible to be unapologetic to is myself. So I decided that this is just who I am. And if you don't like it, I don't give a fuck. I don't care. There are times where I like classical music. So what? I like I like fairies and elves and dragons and shit. I love fairies and elves and dragons and unicorns, and you put a story on and somebody's going to a magical land with wings and stuff. I am right there I am there.
I'm here for all of it.
But as much as I'm there, I would also like to see myself reflected there.
Hello.
I would like to also see a beautiful black man running around with some fairy wings. We like fairy wings. Why can't we wear fairy wings? Do you know how many times I've made in my life? I've probably gone as an angel about 14 times, one of which I had angel wings made that were 6 feet tall, 5 feet wide, and 3 feet deep.
Oh my
They
God.
were incredible. They were black.
Oh, I hope you have pictures. I want to.
Yeah, I was wearing shorts that were this big too.
Okay, well, I'll just focus on the wings.
It's probably better that way. Anyway, so there was just a tangent that I was thinking. Back to your womanness. I'm taking this over. I'm here to talk about lady things. Talk.
Talk about lady things. I mean, it's as much as I am proud and as much as I love it, there are certain times where I will, I'll get home, or, my day will end because, with COVID, I live here all the time, no matter what. Where like my day will just end and I'm just like, could I just be a boy for 5 minutes? I'm so tired. It's exhausting having to be a woman in general.
Yeah.
But having to be a Black woman and then constantly having to sidestep sexism and racism simultaneously.
In the same sentence.
And it's constant. And then if you're dealing with people who are of a certain age, then you have to combat their ageism, because then they don't think you know what you're talking about because you're a child. Just like I'm in my mid-30s. I'm grown. So when I speak, I need you to listen, and I don't care how old you are. Like Whoopi said, Alma, check your batteries, turn it up. It should not be this difficult. But, and I work in an all-male environment, a predominantly white environment. The only person of color in my workspace is Sri Lankan.
Okay.
And it's a common thing in the general Asian community, whether it be, Chinese, Japanese, or Indian, where they see more of an adjacency to whiteness than they do to us. So dealing with him at work, it's not like I have another person of color on my side. I just have a really dark white man speaking to me, which is almost more frustrating because I feel like he should have a better understanding of what I go through, and he tends to contribute the most to the problem.
I understand that completely.
It's like having that balance of making sure that my Brooklyn doesn't come out at work. And that I no matter what they do or say, the burden of controlling your temper and being
is always on you.
is always on you.
Because the
Lest I
minute
be
you
the
say
angry Black
something,
woman.
yes, that's the trope that they always throw back on you.
The second I say no, like if I disagree or say this doesn't work or this simply doesn't make sense, I get the angry Black woman face. And then it's like a silent, silent muting.
Yes.
Or like they're just like throwing a wet blanket on me, just saying shh.
Shh.
Silent angry Black girl. It's okay.
It's okay. It's
we
okay.
love you. It's fine.
Okay. You're here, aren't you?
Right. And then I'm supposed to be grateful to be in the room.
Yeah, you're here, aren't you? It's bad enough. It's okay. You're here. How dare you question?
That attitude is beyond infuriating, as though you did me a favor.
As if you did me a favor, knowing good and goddamn well, because as a Black woman, you have to, especially in a room full of white men, you have to be the most qualified person in the room. Period.
Exactly. Hands
down. Because in order to have had you in the room, you had to have been more prepared, more credentialed than a white woman, than definitely than a white man. There couldn't have been any white men available at that particular time when that job posting came out. No. Nobody's frat brother couldn't have been available at that particular time. Otherwise, you wouldn't even be there.
No.
So you better be lucky that your Black ass is there. So just sit down, shut up, and nod and say things when we call your name.
Exactly. Any contribution has to be on their time terms. When they're comfortable with it. And it's like, because you refuse, because that is what's happening in your mind, and you refuse to pay attention to me, there have been bad decision upon bad decision upon bad decision, and then doubling down on each of those bad decisions that have been made simply because you don't want to listen to the angry little Black girl who's also too young to know anything. So
when that happens, do you sit back and watch it fall apart?
I do now. I mean, before I've always been a person who wants to jump in the fray and help. Like I can't just sit and watch someone drown. Like it's not in my nature. Like I have to help. And I've unfortunately been pushed to a place where it's like, you know what? I pulled up next to you in my boat. I gave you life preserves. I reached out my hand.
And they slapped it away.
I gave you a rope, and you decided that you're going to try to swim around the boat because you know a better way to get back on. You figure that out. I'm going to go take a nap.
I'm going to be right here.
Back on the boat.
I'm going to have a cocktail on this boat right
That's
here.
Right. Just knock when you're on deck. I'll wait.
I'm going to go get my hair done. You have a good time. Bye.
No. Like, and it's because I'm fed up, and I hate that I've gotten to the point where I've never ever wanted to allow someone to get me to the point where I don't care. You know, I'm a person who cares too much, and while that's probably not healthy either, but it's who I am. And for anyone to get me to that point it says a lot about the damage that's been done. So like now it's just, you know, you guys can figure it out on your own. You know, you think you know better. You won't even take a suggestion. You've seen me be right over and over again, and yet and still you refuse to take me seriously. You refuse to acknowledge my actual contributions. So you can figure it out now. I'm done. I'm going to show up. I'm going to do what I have to do. And anything beyond that, you and your brilliant and infallible whiteness can figure it out on your own.
You know what? I just finished this book called Mediocre by Ijama Oluo. It's a fantastic book. It's about the green lighting in America of white male mediocrity. And what happens is these gentlemen, I use that term as these gentlemen bring guys into the office that are very much like themselves. So average begets average. I want everybody in the office to have the same thought as I do, but you can have a slightly different thought, but not too different. And if you go along to get along, we've heard that term before, right?
Oh,
You
yes.
go along to get along, meaning you don't make any waves. You make no waves. You labor, you lay there in your mediocrity, and then you rise up the corporate ladder.
Yeah.
And then you bring your mediocre lackeys right behind you while everybody else is over here dazzling. Oh no, that's too much. No, you're doing too. No, you're not one of the boys. This is not one of the boys club. This same toxic masculine, this white narrative that we've built our way around. And then we have some others in our Black and brown community who want this access to whiteness, this access, so they buy into this lie of mediocre.
Yes.
And they float in this bubble as well. Sometimes they get high in the bubble, and, they get there, but at the top, it's always that cloud of mediocre, super wealthy white men. And whoever they're sleeping with.
Yeah, exactly.
Because we mustn't forget that.
We can't forget the hoes.
Whoever the 22-year-old that these men are sleeping with.
Yes.
22, and they have 32-year-old daughters, but they're sleeping with 22-year-olds. Can we talk about that? Can we talk about the fact that these men are walking around here doing all these gross ass things to women when they have mothers and they have sisters? And you say, what happens if some fucking dude grabs your sister's titty? How do you feel about that? Oh, I don't like that. Well, why in the hell are you doing it to somebody else?
They have daughters. That's the part that
you have daughters.
You can have whatever relationship you want with your mom or your sister.
But you have a daughter.
If you have, and most of the men in my environment have daughters.
So what they're saying is they're reinforcing this narrative that they will allow their daughters to be treated the way they're treating you.
I genuinely would hope not, but it's hard for me to see how they separate how they are on a daily basis for the few hours that they're actually home trying to parent. I'm assuming they're parenting their daughters.
I doubt it.
Trying to do that. Like, how do you suddenly become a well-adjusted grown man for the 4 hours that you are going to be with your child and then turn off the rest of the 20 hours of fuckery that just occurred? Like, how do you manage that?
You play with your child because it's your child, and you play with your child, and if you do a great job, your wife will let you touch her titties. And then you go to work and you take out your frustrations of your mediocre life on whomever it is who doesn't look like you in the world in which you are surrounded. Then you go home, you play with your child, then maybe your wife will let you touch her titties. Then you go back to work, and it's this whole fucking cycle, and then you do all this, and then maybe you can go to Disneyland where your wife will let you touch her titties.
And that seems to be the only thing that they need. They just need to touch a titty and they're happy. Like, your entire sense of joy is centered around women, and you still can't manage to treat us properly.
No, because you're objects. You're not humans. You are lesser than. So since you are lesser than, I have no other recourse than to make decisions about your body, because obviously you can't be trusted with that. And then I get to tell you exactly what you should look like, because you can't be trusted with that, obviously. And then I have to tell you exactly how much money you can make, because if you're worth anything, some man will take care of you. And then
it keeps going. There's always going to be a rationale.
It just keeps going. And listen, I'm a gay man, and I know that my opinions about ladies don't mean shit. They don't. But I also know that I respect every human that I come across, unless you give me a reason not to.
Exactly.
And then
Even
I'm going to
someone like
dislike you for your actions, not for your sex, not for your race, not for your hair color, not for your disability. I'm gonna dislike you because of what you did.
Right. And I think that's the problem that a lot of cis white men in particular, don't seem to comprehend, is that when we take certain men's opinions and we actually appreciate them and sometimes even follow whatever may have been suggested,
Mhm.
it's because of that respect. No, as a man, your opinion on what's happening here does not matter.
At all.
But the simple fact that for you in particular, and men like you who do respect us and who do have an appreciation for our humanity,
Mm-hmm.
you are allowed to speak at the table. As far as I'm concerned, I feel like you are still allowed to be given a voice.
Thank you. I will only share an opinion. And that's just it. Opinions are like assholes. Everybody has them and they all stink. But
I love that. That's fantastic.
I stole that from somebody. But it's just I'm so, like, I walk down the street and I'm just minding my business. And usually when I'm alone, back before COVID, I would walk around with earbuds and be on the train, and I would watch in with music playing, usually Beyonce or her or somebody to get me in the mood to go touch people. And I will watch this theater of these beautiful, powerful women walking around, and these skeevy men. I don't care what they were dressed like. It didn't matter. And I remember one morning I'm here getting on the train at 1:37. And I'm on the train and Beyonce is giving me everything. I'm in a suit. I look all cute and stuff. And then this beautiful, beautiful black girl walks down the stairs. She's wearing braids all the way down to the top of her very ample butt. She is poured into this costume, titties out to here, sucked in, but professionally dressed, for her clothes fit.
Nice.
And I'm like, okay, sis, I see you. And I had seen her on several, train mornings. Usually she was dressed slightly different. So I'm looking at her this particular morning and I was like, okay, she's on her way to a job interview or something. But this dress she was in was everything. She looked amazing. So she gets on the train, because we took the exact same train route every morning. We got on at 1:39. We transferred at up in the Bronx, and then went back down to we would get off on 59th and Lexington. So sister is here and she is bad, right? We get on up into the Bronx and we're going up the stairs, and these dudes are just saying the most disrespectful things to her. But I have my earbuds on. I don't hear what they're saying. I just see how this interaction is happening. Sister turns around and she didn't say a word. She just gives them an up and a down and gets on the train. Right? I was like, she bad. So on this particular train, the 4 train, we get on and we're sitting, and across from us, a couple of white guys, suits, the whole 9 yards. The way that they were looking at her made me feel like I needed to take a bath. And it made her second guess the way she was looking that particular day, because it made her feel like, well, I don't know, based on what if I was watching a movie, it would be the time in the movie where I would want to have a rape investigator following her around. That's how I felt about what I was seeing. And so we get off the train And there's at 59th, there's this super long escalator.
Yeah.
And so she gets on the escalator, and she and I, again, we take the same train ride. So she usually walks up the escalator just like I do. So she gets off the escalator, and again, as today's, I mean, this girl is fine. Anyway, she's walking up the stairs. These white guys, they try to get like right behind her. What do? I get in between them and her. So I'm walking up behind her. So she's walking up the stairs, and you could tell that she was uncomfortable with who was behind her. And then, so she's walking. Midway here, she does this. She looks like slightly over her shoulder because she was walking up the stairs super fast. And I always walk up the stairs super fast. So she turns around and she sees that it's me. And there's something about the way she was carrying herself. It relaxed. Her shoulders relaxed. And she just breathed. And then that joy that she had before started to return to her face. And then she went on about her day. And that was the last day I saw her take that train.
That sucks.
Yeah.
That was probably a conscious choice that she no longer wanted to be around those people. That is awful. And that's every single day. I'm telling you, no matter what I have on, I check it multiple times and I'm just like, is this showing too much? What's going to happen if I need to bend over to pick something up? Does my coat hike up? Am I going to fall out of my bra? Is it going to show through the shirt? Are my pants too tight? Are my pants so loose that it emphasizes my waist? Like, and it is bananas. And it's for the simple fact that because of the rape culture that exists in this country and in most places, the burden of proof when a woman gets harassed is always on the woman.
It's always on the woman. And then within that burden of proof, they bring up the woman's sexual history. That has nothing to do with that particular incident. Why are you trying to slut shame me? And that's, again, men inserting themselves into the lives of women where they have no place.
And then it's about our clothes. Well, I mean,
why'd you wear that?
Right. Why would you?
Because I wanted to.
Why would you put yourself in that position? I'm just like,
I was walking down the street.
I was like, I had on sweats and a hoodie. What position did I put myself in?
Isn't it worse when it comes from, is it harder when it comes from other women?
It isn't always harder. I think it hurts more.
Okay.
For in certain situations, there are, especially if these are women who you know a little bit about their history, you understand why that is. I read something, and it's called internalized misogyny.
I know it.
So, basically it's women sort of absorbing the way Black people have absorbed anti-Blackness, women absorb anti-womanness. So if we see somebody who's wearing something low cut or wearing something too tight, well, she's asking for that attention. And then when it's us doing it, we're just like, but I didn't say anything. So this shouldn't be happening to me. And then we forget how we responded to that other woman.
Right.
Or, oh, well, she probably wanted it because I had someone tell me once that they didn't believe that a girl was sexually assaulted because she was homely looking. I had a woman tell me this, like, well, why would this guy want to do anything with her? Look at her. And say, and
that's when
you honestly think that's why women get assaulted? It's not about how we look, it's about their power.
It has nothing. Yeah, it's about power. It's about you have something that I've decided I want, and it's mine.
Right.
I don't care if you say no. I've decided I'm the man.
Exactly. And so many women don't get that, and sometimes it's because they aren't used to getting attention themselves, and it's hate. Because some women are so neglected in their own lives that even if it's negative attention, it's still something they crave because at least someone's looking at them. So no matter who it is or what the reasoning is, some of these women think it's your fault when you're getting the attention that they're not. So they're just mad at you. So they don't have any type of sympathy or care when something bad happens to you because they're just angry.
Do you think that that is also from we've been indoctrinated in the male gaze? It's
Yes.
like you're not beautiful unless some man tells you you are.
Absolutely.
Usually you're not beautiful until some white man tells you you are. And then whatever your association to whiteness, your access to whiteness, there's a word that I want to use that it's always slipping my mind, but your relationship to whiteness and how close you are to a line that, say you have this long, beautiful, straight hair. Oh, well, she has straight hair, so she's pretty. She's pretty. She's pretty. Mm-hmm.
That automatically makes you a little prettier because
she's pretty. Mm-hmm. She's pretty. Mm-hmm. Yeah, she's pretty. She's pretty. Mm-hmm. What I learned about.
Like, oh, but she's so cute. Look at her.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. What I learned about as I'm getting older and I'm paying a lot more attention to, namely, old Black ladies. When old Black ladies repeat something more than 3 or 4 times, they're not trying to convince you. They're trying to convince themselves. Oh yeah, that's cute. That's cute. That's cute. Mm-hmm.
I like how it does that thing. It's not because
look at you and them shoulders out. Yeah, that's bold. Yes, girl.
And you gotta love it because you have to appreciate the fact that they're trying to be nice.
Mm-hmm. You're trying to find something.
They've got no reason to. They have 0 fucks left, but you gotta appreciate when they try so hard. And once you know what that means, you're just like, oh, thank you. And I think I'm gonna change though.
I think I'm gonna burn this. I shouldn't even own this. I'm sorry.
I didn't mean to donate this anyway.
She's all like, you probably shouldn't, baby. I don't think that color is good for anybody.
Well, if you want to, it's okay. You're lovely.
Mm-hmm.
If there's something blue that might look nice, you want it.
I remember I have an aunt of mine. When I was a child, because I have 3 stunning sisters. They are breathtaking. Jennifer, older, she's a whisper older than me. Jasmine is younger. Jessica's the baby. They're all different shades of beautiful brown. I, of course, am the deepest of them all. At one point in my childhood, I can remember an aunt of mine repeatedly telling me, you know what? You would be so handsome if you weren't so black. Repeatedly. And then my great grandma said to her, this is the last time I remember her saying it to me. But my great grandma says to her, you'd be so pretty if you weren't so fat. He can't change his color, but you can change your weight.
Hang on. You didn't have to do anything else after that.
I was done. The mic was dropped. But yet it took me up until probably 5 years ago before I finally embraced the beauty of this brownness.
And you should. That's the first thing, aside from you have. Now, I hope you don't take offense to this, but it's something that I call sugar bakerness.
Okay, go on.
I don't know if you ever watched Designing Women.
Uh-huh.
Now, when I was growing up, because there's not a whole lot of, Black women out there, especially at that time. Mm-hmm. So my goal was always to grow up to be a combination of Miss Dixie Carter and Miss Felicia Rashad.
I get
figured
you.
that would be the perfect woman for me
I'll
to grow
get
up
you.
to be. And if you remember on the show, Dixie Carter's name was Julia Sugarbaker. And when she walked into a room, that was the reaction. Like you couldn't, it was just like you knew shit was about to go down. Whether you liked it or not, it was about to get classy in that bitch, and you had no choice. Like she has this air about her that, you know, if you look at her sideways or say anything remotely disrespectful, the audacity.
You will be told some words. And
that was the aura that you gave me when I first met you. So I was just like, oh Lord, sugar baconness. Okay. All right, I'm ready. I'm gonna behave. I'm ready. And then I saw your skin and I was just like, why don't I have that complexion? Like, why don't I look like that? There. Like, I got so agitated. I'm like, I need a drink. Cocktail. This isn't right.
Well, so that is
because you oh my God, your skin was like, when I got mad. Like I got mad. I'm pretty sure I asked both Seth and Greg to get me a drink at the same time because I asked them both. So somebody just give me a cocktail. I will drink them all. Just give me. I was so upset. I'm like, but why don't I look like that? I'm like, he is lovely. Like, what is wrong with me? I was so mad. So yes, embrace it because you are beautiful.
Oh my God, that just made my life. Oh my, that is the most wonderful compliment. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm still a little mad, not gonna lie.
Well, I can say first and foremost, embrace all the beauty that you have. You are a beautiful woman. You exude confidence, radiance, and if they don't like you, pay them no never mind. As I told you before, what your version of me is no concern of mine. It's no concern of mine. Whoever you think I am in your head has nothing to do with me. As long as you don't fuck up my shine.
Yes.
Yeah, don't fuck up my shine.
I'm still working on, I am a person who I sort of learned to dim myself for the people around me to accommodate.
No.
And when I tell people that, that's the reaction I get.
No.
Like, stop it.
You should be, you should take up space. You're allowed to take up space.
Yeah, it's just like so hard. I always sort of felt like an inconvenience like growing up. So the idea of me taking up space is very overwhelming because I feel like if I'm taking up space, and that means I'm in someone else's way.
No, there's room enough for all of us.
There is, which is something that I'm learning, and I'm just like, you know what? I can take up as much space as I like because there's space over there for them. And if they are kind and if we're on the same vibe, then there's space for them right here with me.
Come on, boo, you can share my space together. Yes, shine bright like a diamond. Yes. And
I'm learning. I'm getting a lot better.
And you know, I'm this unapologetic thing.
I like it on the days it happens, but I'm just like, why can't I keep that?
It's wonderful. It is wonderful. Like last week I got an email from my old, well, I can call it my old job now. Because I used to work for Suit Supply on Madison Avenue. Fancy. And I realized that I didn't want to go back to making suits and touching people when there is so many mediocre white people out here killing everybody. And there's so much division between us black folks and everybody. So why can't we all, there's power in numbers. And if we all figure out that we're all after the same thing and stop buying into this bullshit that the 1% has us all fighting against one another. If you're all like, first of all, Stop looking at my titties. My eyes are up here. I'm smarter than you. Your decisions are stupid. You can use whatever words you want to, but I'm paraphrasing. And if we all just shut the fuck up and listen to one another, we can all understand that banding together is easier and we get more done. But in order to do that, we have to talk about that shit back there.
Yes.
And we have to deal with it. Because if we don't deal with it, we're all like, oh no, that was so long ago. No, it wasn't. Because you know what? My parents, because I'm 48. Yeah, I'm 48. So
You're not.
yeah, I'm 48. I'll be 49 in September.
I'm mad at you again.
Again, there's a portrait of me that is aging terribly.
Love it.
I've been here. Fun fact. I've been telling that story forever. Like there's a portrait of me that's aging terribly. Do you know that Scott closed Dorian Gray when he played the portrait of Dorian Gray? He closed that play the week before we met. So he played Dorian Gray, and I've been making a joke about Dorian Gray my entire adult life.
See, that's serendipity in this bitch. That's beautiful.
I know, it's sickening, really. He's so disgusting. Anyway, but the thing that I'm talking about here in the 1960s, my mom was born in 54. So in the 1960s, there were still colored signs. There were still whites only signs. So it wasn't that long ago. In all technicality, Black folks haven't really been free, but for like 50 years.
Yeah, and barely because
after we got Jim Crow, we started a new Jim Crow called the prison. Mass incarceration. That is just new slavery.
Pretty much.
That's all it is. So what happens is we say, okay, no Jim Crow, right? So right after Jim Crow, we start, what did he start? We started the Southern poverty, something. There was something about, it was a war on poverty, right?
Yeah.
That war on poverty immediately morphed into a war on crime, and that was under Nixon, right? So that war on crime and crime somehow became Black. It's always been Black, but
because of the Black on Black, because we're the only ones.
Yes, the Black on Black crime. But the reason why there was Black on Black crime is you put a whole bunch of Black people in a red line neighborhood where no one invests and no one has a job, and there's no infrastructure in the neighborhood. Poor people are just doing, most of them, survival crimes, right? So you're doing a survival crime and then you get locked up, and your wife or your girlfriend, your baby mama or whomever who is raising these kids then has to go get a job. And again, she makes 61 cents to your white man dollar. And then you get on her about being on welfare and calling her a welfare queen. And at the same time, our administration is writing these harsh drug laws. And then Reagan comes in, and Reagan's all like, you know what? We need money for a war. So we're going to make a deal, and then we're going to fly guns, but we're going to put some cocaine on these here. We're going to put some cocaine on these planes too, just a little bit. So we fly we fly guns to somewhere, but we drop some cocaine off. And you know what? Cocaine, we're going to send those to the suburbs because, white people, they need the cocaine. It's okay. But, just a little crack. Just a little crack. Oh, crack is cheap. Oh, it's sent to the ghetto. Shh, send to the ghetto.
Same thing. They're not going to know the difference.
They're just going to kill each other. It's okay. Shh. Okay. So we get everybody addicted to the crack, right? Oh, God, they're all addicted to crack? Okay. Are they doing crimes? Okay. So let's write these laws real quick. So we're going to send all these addicts to jail and get them in this jail conversation, right? Get them in this combo: jail, probation, jail, parole, jail, baby. jail, and this whole circle. And then around this point, this is around the 80s or what have you, you're born. And so all of this is going on, and your family sees all of this shit on the news, reinforcing all of this black devils, these black devils, these crack mamas, these whore babies, these prostitutes, these pimps, these all of, and they all look like this because they always find the deepest of us chocolatey folks. When they're going to demonize folks, they always find us folks. So when you need a bad guy, you always look for this. So, and then here you are living your little life, skipping and shit, minding your business. And you're all like, oh, I'm just a little cute little black girl, minding my own business, living my dream. And you're these little black girls, these little sprinkle of black girls who are fortunate enough to go to this bougie ass white school you probably went to, right? Bougie ass white school.
Okay. Oh yeah.
And so you having this access to whiteness, they're all like, oh, this bitch thinks she's better than us. Oh, fuck her. We don't want to have anything to do with her. She likes this, she likes that. Oh, she does this. Oh, fuck her. She thinks she's better than us. She don't think she's black. Fuck her. So then they here you are, just like skipping and shit. You're like, but who gonna help me with these knock knocks? These white girls don't know what the fuck. And then my family is telling me, oh, now I got to go get my hair pressed. And so you're out here flopping in the breeze and shit.
100%.
But at this same time, here you are being fed this negative information about blackness, and you're looking in the mirror and you're all like, so does that mean I'm that?
Yeah. That was like the crusade, it was always the crusade to not be one of those people.
Because you can't be one of those because I'm different. Everyone in my life has told me I'm different. And so now I'm walking around in the world, but the world doesn't know that I'm different. So they treat you like one of these.
And even when they didn't, that's the funny thing is that you get to a point where the different means that you're the ideal token, like you're the perfect kind of black person because you're not like them. You make them feel like they're not racist, and
yes,
you make them feel like they're down and they're in things. And
I'm cool. I have a black friend.
That's right, but you only have a black friend because I'm quiet. Because I don't cuss you out all the time. Because I have a light-skinned mother. This is why my blackness is acceptable.
Because I'm not telling you about yourself when you say some dumb shit.
Exactly.
When I'm all like,
if you're tame. I actually had someone call me tame, and I got so angry, and I was still too young to understand why that pissed me off. But I was just like, it's like, that's like an animal word. So why would they say an animal word to me? I don't understand, but I'm mad. No one can explain it.
I would always have you know what, Jonathan? I'm more black than you are.
I still get that.
Look, Jonathan, look, putting their arms up. Oh my God, almost there.
Hey, y'all. Thanks for sticking in. Part 2 is coming up, okay? Be amazing.